that there's this huge problem with black-on-black crime that people are not working diligently every day to address. It's not true. I'm not going to let you lie to me today.
So how do we, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all three of you, and I respect each of your perspectives, but the yelling and the emotions, how do we take all of this frustration and the anger and this energy? This is the same question I asked Charles Barkley, and I would love to ask all three of you all, how do we move this forward?
Well, we need to have another
discussion. If you want to understand the emotion, well, right.
Go ahead, boys.
Exactly.
Go ahead,
you have to be honest, and if you want to understand the anger and the outrage that I'm seeing everywhere, just imagine how Americans felt right after 9/11. Think about this. If somebody's killing your children, what parent, what human being is not going to react emotionally when they know they can't send their child to the store for Skittles and iced tea without some possibility that they're going to come back dead? That is a very serious reality for so many black families in America. So, I would say this, that good cops that are out there, they want to deal with this problem as much as the rest of us do, because we don't want to live in a society where everyone's afraid of the police, where everyone hates the police, where black kids grow up thinking the police are all bad. But if you don't deal with this, if you continue to turn a blind eye to all these homicides, then you're going to have what actually could become a race war on your hands. We've got to be very, very careful.
Well, part of that is because people are trying to say that the majority of police officers, white police officers, are going out here with a target on young black men. That is just not the case. That is not the case. Are there bad officers? Is there police brutality? Yes, that happens, but that is not the majority of the case. The majority of police officers are good people who protect and serve with honor in this country.
So that's kind of what
I think that we should continue to cast aspersions on police officers as if there's some kind of brutal force that they wake up every day saying, how am I going to target black people? That is just not the case, and that discussion, that part of it, is not helpful.
That is part of what Charles Barkley was saying to me over and over and over when we were talking yesterday, is a lot of police officer friends, black, white, and I think one of his points was he was frustrated because a lot of people are very critical of some of his words that he's had a lot, especially when he sat down and talked to me, and he was saying, why can't we among the African-American community agree to disagree? He was saying to me, why are people, throwing
Make it
out...
clear that this is not a black problem. This is a problem we have in our great country. The cancer of racial prejudice is a carryover from the symptoms of slavery. We made tremendous gains in so-called emancipation, but it's only been in recent years that we've even had the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act. Until America is black and white and all colors recognize that America cannot achieve its greatness until it first admits to this problem. It's not New York, Staten Island, it's not Ferguson. It's a total feeling that people are raised to have a difference about people of color, especially black men of color, especially young black men of color. And that is why the national effort by the Department of Justice is so important, because they have statistics to show a young black guy has a 21% higher rate than a white guy of getting killed. These things have to be brought together. We have to acknowledge that we have a problem, and we have to work on it. The second thing is what Congressman Jeffries has said. You don't have to be a lawyer or an ex-prosecutor to know a human being was killed. He was surrounded by policemen. No one else touched him. And the grand jury did not say that he committed suicide. They didn't say what happened. That's why it's important that the district attorney has an obligation to bring the facts to New Yorkers and American people to see how they could have possibly stretched their imagination to reach that decision. And more importantly, to find out which side was the district attorney on. Was he seeking truth and justice in terms of the homicide? Or was he there to protect those people that were charged, at least in the hearts of many, to have a homicide? And so I cannot find a bright side to this horrified, this terrible situation. But I do know one thing. Until we face up for what it is, until we recognize that not having a black president has resolved the problem at all, until we know that minorities being elected to local, state, and federal offices is not a resolution of the problem, Until we recognize that the color of one's skin depends on how their future lives are going to be, or whether or not they're going to live at all. So I do hope that the Department of Justice gives Americans an opportunity to take this cancer and cut it out once and for all.
Congressman Jose Serrano.
Thank you. I want to echo what my colleagues have said, that the fact is here that a grand jury could not even come up with a misdemeanor is certainly a miscarriage of justice. I heard on one of the networks, and I don't know how true this may be bad information, that the grand jury was looking for intent to kill. Well, what does that mean? That if I kill you in a moment of anger or hate or whatever, it wasn't intentional and therefore I'm okay? Something happened. A person died. And the medical examiner in New York said that it was a homicide, and the grand jury could not find reason
You are
to
listening
indict
to New York
anyone.
lawmakers reacting to the breaking news this hour. Just moments ago, NBC News learned that a grand jury has voted not to bring charges against New York City police officer Daniel Pantaleo for the death of Staten Island man Eric Garner, who died this July in a police chokehold. That decision comes just 9 days after a different grand jury, one in Ferguson, Missouri, handed down an identical no-true bill, one that effectively exonerated police officer Darren Wilson in the shooting death of unarmed teen Michael Brown. Garner's death, which came 3 weeks before that of Brown, has inflamed tensions between the New York City Police Department and the community it is tasked with protecting. Though protests in New York have not been as sizable or as prolonged as those in Missouri, at this moment it is unclear whether that remains true. Unlike Brown, the circumstances leading to Garner's death were captured on tape. In that video recording, Garner can be heard repeatedly telling officers, "I can't